here's my top 5 ways that I can add value to all your old golf clubs that you might have lying around the house. And what I've learned, well, over the last couple of years. But when you take a photo like this and like, oh, golf club, you're not going to get much for it. Guys, how you doing? Welcome back to a brand new video. It's Simon down here at my flat. Day of sorting, day of cleaning. This is essentially what I've just been accumulating over the last week or so. It's kind of got really busy. I don't know if a lot more people are selling rather than buying, but that's what I've found, especially over the last week. And I've got a lot of cleaning, sorting, and tips and tricks. I'm just going to basically show you guys how you can add value to your golf clubs, how to get the clubs into a half decent position, clean them, easiest, cheap, quickest methods to obviously do that as well. So if you like this video, leave it a like, subscribe if you are new. Let's get into it. Okay, so we use a few different clubs to obviously use to show the different techniques that I do, and all of these are very simple, and a lot of you probably already know of these. Let's be honest, I learned a lot of these from you just commenting on videos, but I thought I'd put these all in one video just to be out there to help you guys. And it's the end process, getting to the point of taking photos of the clubs, whether you're putting on Facebook or eBay, Gumtree, wherever it might be, so that the club looks the best it possibly can. And let me just show you what normally I see on eBay or Facebook that won't give you the best result. So this is typically what I see as a photo, like 1 or 2 photos, maybe one like that and then one like this, and that's basically all you get, and that's not going to give you the most value. That is worth a £25 club. This is what I bought this club for, £25. It's a great club. It's actually in really good condition. It's going to suit a lot of people, but when you take a photo like this and like, oh, golf club, you're not going to get much for it. So we're obviously going to go to another end point of getting it looking as good as it possibly can, and then potentially we can compare before and after. So firstly, what we need to do is obviously make this gleaming white again, and the easiest way to do that is with one of these bad boys. This is exactly what I've bought off Amazon, this particular packaging. I think it cost me like £10 for like all of them, and I go through quite a lot of them, and I'm just going to show you how quickly and easy this method is. Now you can try and do this with your hand or like a scourer, but honestly, just trust me, like you could spend half a day trying to get all the grime and dirt off the top of the club, and then spend, I don't know, 30 seconds with the magic sponge, and then all of a sudden all of it is gone. And it just makes the club just look so much better and cleaner, virtually brand new, especially the white clubs. They're like majority of tailor-made clubs, let's be honest. The M1s, M2s, aero burners, all of those particular clubs, if the top of the head looks again as white as it does, and honestly it's very easy for these clubs to go back to as white as they were, you're going to add value to your clubs, no question. So hopefully you can see the difference there. I'll obviously do a before and after, but I mean, that took me 10 seconds, and honestly, I think it's added £10 to it already. Okay, so that's number 1 done, and we're definitely going to come back and do another tip with the magic sponge, but at the moment, that's all we can do. What we need to do now is obviously get the dirt out of the grooves and the bottom, which I can imagine you know what kind of tool that I'm going to be using. Now, tip number 2 does require quite an understanding wife to use the kitchen sink, or if you've got an outdoor space, which obviously I don't because I live in a flat, that would equally do. Water and a scourer. Now I know the first 2 tips are quite simple, but honestly it makes a world of difference doing both of those when it comes to the photos I'm going to be taking later, as it's daylight and outside and sunny, everything shows up and it just makes the club look awful. But as you can see at the moment, considering where we were to where we are now, it's starting to look, well, starting to look half decent anyway. Hopefully we can start agreeing that obviously the club's definitely looking better. However, it's always difficult to clean out the hosel, especially adjustments, like adjustment clubs like drivers, woods, fairways, and this typically happens more on like Ping, Titleist, Callaway. That nut at the bottom there sometimes get quite rusted, dirted, muddy, you name it. I'm going to show you how you can take that out and clean that as well to make basically it look as good as possible. What I'm going to do now is just push down on that screw with the same tool that we had before, and you just going to gently just apply pressure, and then what will happen is that will then go through the washer, because it's just a little rubber washer, it's only holding it on gently, and then that pops out. Don't forget about the washer obviously inside. If it does stay there, which this one has, that's kind of ideal. So with the ferrule obviously still in the bottom of the shaft there, we're going to apply the shaft into the bottom, and then this should just tighten up as normal. You should find it quite easily. If it does need a bit of jigging, then obviously do that, and if you get any resistance and potentially the washer's not necessarily in the right place, just take it out and start again. But it should just click in to normal as you normally would with any other driver. So that's virtually done in terms of cleaning the head. All the tips and tricks that I know, magic sponge, taking the screw out, scouring the face, all quite simple stuff, but as you can tell, I mean, the club definitely looks a lot better than it did a minute. Tip number 3 is removing labels from the shaft, and the easiest way I know how. Typically, especially drivers, you have them like down the hosel where they just stick various labels just explaining basically nothing, but they put them on there anyway, and most people take them off, just rip them off, and then you're just left with this patch. And the easiest way of taking this off is with either grip solution, which I imagine not many of you have, but if you have that, it's the easiest way, but then also white spirit. I actually just have a tiny bit of grip solution in there, so I'm going to use that, but either would work, and I just use an old towel, but you can also use kitchen towel, and again, quickest, easiest way to get that off. And then 20 seconds later, as you can see, basically no evidence that has ever been there. There's so many ways of doing it, but that's the quickest way, and I'm all about doing it the quickest way. I mean, it's actually a really nice SM7 wedge. I mean, it's basically the only thing that was, well, for me personally, holding it back. Tip number 4 is buffering out marks on top of your driver. Some of you just might want to do this to your own drivers. You've seen previous videos that I've done it. You can see the kind of sky mark on the top of the driver there. Unfortunately, that just doesn't cover it, but because it's not too deep, we can definitely buff that out. So T-cut scratch remover, just as you would on your car. Obviously I found this in lockdown. It kind of works, it kind of doesn't. Obviously if there's massive digs in a driver face or on the crown of it, I should say, you haven't got much hope. But when it's quite light, like it is here, it's actually been quite easy. Cloth, bit of elbow grease, job's done. So hopefully you can now see the difference. As I say, those marks are definitely gone. They've kind of been buffed out. You can even see this little scratches on the top of the crown there. Again, 5 more minutes. I mean, I just spent 30 seconds. 5 more minutes, and again, that's gone. But I don't want to spend half an hour on every club. But if I can spend 30 seconds and just make it look, well, 10 times better, then I think it's worth it. I'm going to say this is tip 3.5 and not really teach you to suck eggs, but at the same time, white head covers that are dirty, grimy like this, magic sponge, 10 seconds. Well, let me show you. The only reason I bring this up, and again, obviously it might seem quite obvious, but I never thought to do it, but it just makes the club in general just look a lot better. Obviously, it has to be in some kind of working order. I mean, I've got some head covers that, well, I mean, like these ones, for example, or that one. Not really much hope for. And also bags as well, magic sponge on bags. Again, especially the tall ones that are leather, make it a £20 bag to 70. And then number 4 is grips. Now, to be honest, this is probably just good advice in general for a lot of you, because it probably won't add any value to the club itself. I doubt many people go, oh, that grip looks nice and clean. But at the same time, a lot of you play with golf clubs that you've had them like 3-6 months and you've never washed the grips, which means that they basically got 0 friction and they're dirty and shiny and everything else. So it's just a kind of a heads up that rather than grip your club for dear life, you can actually add some more friction to it. Now, it's probably very difficult for you guys to tell whether that's got any more friction on it, but it does. And as I said, I don't think it really adds any value to the club itself, but it's kind of important for me. It's the first thing people are going to touch when they take it out of the box is the grip and then stand over it. So you kind of want this to be somewhat in good condition or feel as good as it possibly can, so that obviously they're more excited about the club that they're holding. So then lastly is the photos, and I'm going to show you the photos and angles I take. I highly recommend A, doing it outside with natural light, and B, doing it on like a blank background. I bought this from Homebase. I think it was like £12 for this AstroTurf. Again, it just gives me a blank background to obviously take pictures of the club itself. And you've got 12 photos on eBay and you've got 10 on Facebook, so you might as well just use all of them. And the more information you can give about the club, obviously the better. I'm not a word kind of man. I don't really like writing. If I have to explain something, then I do, but I think pictures obviously say a lot more than words. So I try and get every angle of the club just so that people are happy and they know what they're actually buying. And I do find that a lot of people tend to either bid more or pay more the more photos there are, rather than just listed golf clubs in your garage in a dark room. So guys, that's everything I possibly have in terms of just preparing a golf club. Maybe just cleaning your bag out, so make them look as good as possible, or if you did want to list them on eBay and Facebook, I can guarantee you, if you're doing what I was doing at the start compared to now, you will add a lot more value, especially when it comes to auctions. And auctions at the moment are crazy, so I do advise you going down the auction route, especially on eBay. Guys, if you like this video, leave it a like. Subscribe if you're new. Catch you guys there.
Morning, Tom. Hope you're doing well. Afternoon, mate. Well done on the lesson. And
Evening, Alan. Not a problem at all. And
testing the G30s and
afternoon, gents. On my way to the lockup. Go pick up the Mura Iron.